Football is back. Football's back, baby, and so are we for the, third or fourth time this week. The countdown to the season series culminates today with Football's back, and it's the three musketeers from, for fuck's sake, Pete Selby, that's me. We've got Rob Hayes, and we've got Andy Moore here, and we're talking all things Leicester for the season, our hopes and our dreams, discussing what we've been discussing over the week with our predictions for the season, with our predictions for the game against Notts County, and kind of an to sum it up, really, what we've been talking about and what we feel about Leicester this season on the eve of the football season. You may be listening or watching to this maybe tomorrow morning, maybe Saturday morning before the game against Notts County. If you're watching live, then do get in contact with your comments. Comments on how you feel Leicester are going to do this season. We don't need predictions, but we've done that. We want what you think, what we need. You know, what are you feeling on the day before the football season starts for proper? Obviously, we had the League Cup, etc., etc. But the one thing we're going to start with, of course, is because we're only a day away from the Notts County game, we are only a day away from ending our fantastic giveaway. It's our free month. So the code FREE 2026, free 2026, and it gives you a month free at forfoxsake.news. Forfoxsake.news, our website, and it's independent journalism covering Leicester City from Andy Moore, from Pete Selby, and from Rob Hayes. We are giving away a free month. It's normally a £5, but this is free. Free 2026. That's the code to use when signing up at forfoxsake.news. And when you sign up for a month. And basically, that gives you free access to the website, all the articles on there. And, of course, it keeps this podcast absolutely free as well. And it gives you a month. And if you like it, fantastic. After that, it will roll on and it'll be a £5 a month. But, of course, if you don't like it, then, of course, you can cancel. It's up to you. But it's free to use. So make sure you do sign up. It will be live all the way through tomorrow, so you do have a bit of time to do it. But do sign up now when you listen or watching this, and it means that you get full access to forfoxsake.news. Brilliant on a mobile as well. I know a couple of people today I was talking to, and they were saying how good it is on the mobile and easy it is to subscribe. They were waiting for a code, and they've got the code. It's free 2026, so well done to them. Right, we'll be talking about that, and again, what's happening on the website over the next few weeks on this kind of roundup show. So yeah, it's kind of a free for all, really. Talking today at work, I was working broadcasting and talking about the football season. We all know, away from doing for Fox's Sake and football commentary, broadcaster for horse racing, greyhound racing, and also in the betting industry as well. So talking all things the football season, and a lot of people asking me what I think about Leicester, and of course a lot of people who are fans of other clubs straight away going, are you going to get 100 points, Andy? They weren't saying, hello, I haven't seen you, Pete, for a while. Do you think you're going to win the league or get promoted? Who's the best player that you've signed, etc.? How are you looking? It's, are you getting 100 points? I think a lot of fans and a lot of supporters of other clubs maybe have already written off the league. They've already put a line through number one place because that's where Leicester are going to finish. As Leicester fans, obviously, we've got to be, slightly enthusiastic, unless you're James Terrell, regarding Leicester's chances. But yourself, I think you're on the same wavelength as me when we think we're going to get 100 points. We think we're going to win the league. But do we get too big for our boots, or are we allowed to be super positive about a club the size of Leicester in League One?
For me, I'm positive just because I like what Russell Martin seems to have done over the past 6 weeks. I wasn't as negative as possibly some people of when he came in. I thought he'd do okay. He's done okay pretty much most places apart from the Premier League and obviously in Scotland at Rangers, but that's a big job, isn't it? So I was okay with it, and I just think some of the signings he's built, he's changed. You can see he's changing the culture of the club. He's got rid of a lot of the bad apples that we've clearly had. There's still a few more around, but yeah, it's time. It's a time thing with that. And he's getting some good young players in. Yes, we've lost a couple of good young players, but that's where the money is, I'm afraid. So we needed some money to be able to get some of these players in. I just like what he's done, so I'm very positive. I'm looking forward to the season. And last time that we went down to League One, it was probably one of the most greatest seasons that we've had. I really enjoyed it, bar obviously the Premier League champion winning season kind of thing. So yeah, I am looking forward to it. I do think we're going to win the league. Might be blinded optimism, but yeah, I'm going for it. I think we'll get 100 points, and I think we'll cakewalk it.
Cakewalk it, says Andy Moore. We'll hear from a lot of supporters of other clubs today as well on their chances. It'd be interesting because, again, Rob, we don't really talk to fans of Plymouth, Cambridge, Mansfield and Stockport, etc., do we? These are the places where we would be going. Now, the one thing I was talking today about was Sheffield Wednesday, who, in terms of bookmaker odds, are our nearest rivals for the league. But the one thing that they haven't done and what we've done is they haven't changed in terms of their manager, etc. So I know that they went down in a different way because of the off the field problems. I know we had our off the field problems, but we've changed. And as Andy said, we've got a manager who's brought in fresh ideas, fresh players he knows, etc. When somewhere like Sheffield Wednesday, they haven't. Yes, they brought in fresh players, but they've still got that manager and that backroom staff who had that terrible season last season. I know, obviously, the problems off the field. Do you think that's an advantage to us? And maybe Wednesday, if they're gone for a big change, again, we're talking about them being our main rivals for the league, possibly. Do you think that they should have gone down the Leicester route and changed everything?
Probably not. And I speak with a little bit of experience in that because up until a couple of months ago, my closest football stadium was Hillsborough. So I know a lot of Sheffield Wednesday fans have lived up here for coming up for 7 years now. And because they're too long away from the Shire, because they got new owners this summer, that's been the change that they wanted. That's been the sort of catalyst for positivity again. Our change in ownership is coming by the looks of it, and there's an article on forfoxsake.news that I put on yesterday regarding the sale of the club. That's coming for us in the nearish future. But for Wednesday, it happened this summer, and they were desperate for it, absolutely desperate for it. They've been, I mean, in that article, I do urge a little bit of caution. I'm not saying that King Power are going to back out of the sale now, but I do urge a bit of caution because Wednesday have been through something way worse than we have in terms of ownership. But yeah, the new owner got out and about, met the fans, has brought a lot of the sort of club legends back into the fold in ambassadorial roles. So the positive change at Wednesday has happened in that regard, and nobody laid any of the blame at the manager's door last season because they were down from the moment he stepped in. So actually keeping him, and they did as best they could with the resources that they had last season. So keeping him, I think, is a positive. Whether he'll stay, if they have a tough start to the season and they're not necessarily knocking on the door of playoffs or automatic promotion by sort of Christmas, I don't think they'll hold him in that higher regard or have that much loyalty to him that he'll stick around. But I think it's a sensible decision for some kind of continuity, especially with the change behind the scenes. That they've upgraded the training ground, they've upgraded the stadium, they've reconnected with the fans. So as a club, they'll be a force to be reckoned with, and it remains to be seen on the pitch. But if they're not, I think they will then be an attractive prospect for a manager with maybe a bit more about them to come in and turn their season around. So even if they're not there at Christmas, I wouldn't write them off.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a consolidation season for them. I'll tell you what, let's hear more about Sheffield Wednesday from our friends over at Sheffield Wednesday. Again, we're going to hear from podcasts regarding many different clubs. Let's get an opinion from the fans.
Hello, I'm James Mappin from Owls Extra, telling you all about Sheffield Wednesday for the upcoming season. Well, you all know what happened last season with us coming down with the worst ever points tally in history in the Championship. Well, we've got new owners. New owners came in at the last game of the season. All new squad as well. Not quite finished as we sit down and record this just a week before the start of the season. There's still plenty of players that I think need to come in, but we've certainly made moves in the transfer market. Louis Barry probably being the standout, and Barry Bannon also returning to the club as well. Pre-season hasn't gone great. There's already calls for the manager to be sacked. packed already before the season has begun. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But yeah, really, really optimistic as to how this season's going to pan out. Certainly going to win a few more games than we won last season. Oh, that's not difficult with just the 2 wins last time out. But yeah, it should be a good one. I've got us finishing probably in the top 6. I think it's quite realistic given the squad that we've assembled, and kind of looking at the other teams in League One this season. In terms of Leicester, I've got you as going up top. I know you've got financial problems and problems of your own. I know players have left, but you've brought some fantastic players in already, and I think just the calibre of the players that you've going to have at your disposal will probably mean that you're going to be the team to beat this time. And look, if you take top and we take second, I'll be happy with that, to be fair.
Yeah, so will I, actually. I'll be happy with that. We can finish top and they can finish second. So that's the Sheffield Wednesday point of view. Andy, if you had to pick a side or two who you're most wary of, even though you've got Leicester top with over 100 points, I mean, in theory, there should be no rival, really, when you're winning the league in a canter. But if you're going to pick a team possibly to be most... to be closest to Leicester, even if it is by 15 points behind in second place, who would it be?
There's a few. There's a couple of I'm looking at the 2 S's, Stevenage and Stockport, possibly. They've had good seasons last season. The regular suspects that I think would normally be there, your Huddersfields and your Readings and your Wickhams, they flattered to deceive a bit last year. So I'm not massively up on them. So I'm looking at Stevenage and Stockport. I've got some family who are in Stockport, so that'll be an interesting couple of games that come in. So, yeah, it's they're the ones that. Well, I'm not really worried about anyone. I might be coming across as really overconfident, and I am probably. I just think if I'm looking at the squads and things like that, and I know it's only on paper, and things are different in real life, kind of thing. But I just think that once we settle in and once we get going, it might be a few weeks post-transfer window before we actually settle down and get going. And I just think once we do get going, I think it'll be hard to stop us. And yeah, Sheffield Wednesday, I think they'll finish top 6. I think the guy from Sheffield Wednesday was correct. I like the Louis Barry signing, like you said. I wish we'd have gone for him. I think he'd have been a good signing for us. So yeah, Sheffield Wednesday, all the S's, Sheffield Wednesday, Stevenage and Stockport for me.
Yeah, I think there's going to be 1 or 2 challenges to Leicester, and I would certainly put Stockport in there, certainly Luton as well. I think Wednesday will be there or thereabouts. I can see Sheffield Wednesday coming on strong towards the end of the season. I think it might be quite rocky for them at the beginning, as our friend supporter there from Sheffield Wednesday was discussing. One of those teams that I do agree with you who might go well this year, and I thought they went very well last year, and they look a really, really solid team. And I think there's 1 or 2 at the top, and Luton being one. But Stockport, you mentioned. Let's hear more on Stockport County.
Russ Johnson, Scarf Bagara podcast, Stockport County. What you need to know about us is that we were in National League North, finishing 9th in 2016, the year that you were in the Premier League and winning the Premier League. So we're meeting in the middle. We've had investment since 2020 and we've got a 7-year plan to get to the Championship. This is the 7th year of that plan. And we've got plans beyond that of another 5 years with lots of investment. So we're really, really pushing our way up now and starting to get back to where we believe we belong, which is definitely sort of League One level. Our expectations for the season, well, we finished 3rd both seasons prior to this, and we lost in the playoff final last season to Bolton. We got absolutely slapped, to be fair, but we're expecting to be there or thereabouts, and I've got us 5th. In terms of Leicester, weird one. I've got you as finishing just outside the playoffs. Lots of others have tipped you to go up in either 1st or 2nd, but I think you've got some financial difficulties and some issues off the pitch, so that remains to be seen. But yeah, you're definitely going to be a force, and I will be coming to, I was going to say Filbert Street, but I'll be coming to your ground, so I'll be looking forward to that. Cheers, thank you.
Well, you can come to Filbert Street, you'll be able to see the King Power from Filbert Street, so that's not a problem. Outside of the playoffs, not too sure about that. Not too sure about the drinks cabinet behind him as well. You've got some Baileys there. That's more of a Christmas drink. I'm pretty sure that there was a pink gin. Okay, a pink gin. I can handle that. But I think there's some apple sours as well on now. I'm not too sure what was going on, but there we go. Yeah, I think they're a very solid club, Stockport. I think they'll be right up there. Luton as well. Rob, just a word on our rivals for the league. Obviously, you've got us just outside of the top position. Who were your selection as champions?
You know what? I sat on the fence as I'm well known to do, and didn't actually name who I thought was going to win the league. I think, and what I said in the preview article that's gone on for foxsake.news today, I think there will be a team that will play with a bit less pressure than us. Leicester are under a lot of pressure this season. We're talking fairly freely about Leicester getting automatic promotion. As is our right as fans. We're not the players that are under pressure to deliver that on the pitch. We're not Russell Martin, who has to block out the noise of what's going on at the club to get the results on the pitch. It's not going to be as easy as people think. Look, I'd love to win the league, no problem. Of course, I wouldn't have a problem with winning League One. I just think there might be a team that gets on a run, maybe even last 10, 15 games of the season, and then they have that momentum that just sort of pips them. I've predicted us to get the same amount of points as we got in our League One title winning season under Nigel Pearson, which was enough to win it then. But maybe somebody's going to get nearer to 100 than us. Luton, yeah, I think the teams you've mentioned, obviously, a strong Luton, I think, will be knocking on the door as well. And Russ from Scarf Bagara War there saying that Stockport's 7-year plan is in its 7th year. So it's get to the Championship this season, and they came obviously very close last time. So yeah, plenty of challenges.
There you go. I mean, end of the day, if they've got a 7-year plan, it's working very well. It needs to get promoted this year. They were close last time out. Now, obviously, here at For Fox's Sake, however you're watching, however you're listening, a reminder that there are plenty of other ways to watch and listen to this podcast. Yeah, plenty more ways to watch and listen. If you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts, hello. And also, you will be able to watch on Apple Podcasts in the next week or two. If you're listening on Spotify, you can watch this episode now on Spotify. It's a video Spotify, so you can watch the episodes if you are watching on Spotify. Obviously, on YouTube, you can watch us. And if you're watching live, you can watch us via X. You can watch us via Facebook. Make sure you type in For Fox's Sake, and then of course our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to all of those. Once again, video, so you'll be able to watch us on Apple Podcasts very soon. And if you are listening on Spotify, you can now watch us on Spotify. Again, just go to Spotify, type in For Fox's Sake, and you'll find us there, and you'll be able to listen in the same way, be able to watch us as well. Now, Andy, throughout the course of the week, we've been talking about predictions on about star player, who we think is going to be top scorer, etc., etc. But I've mentioned a few times, and in my predictions column, which will be live on the website for foxsake.news, which of course you do know you can get a month free using FRW 2026. Free 2026 is the code. Sign up now and get a month's free access, and it will be a $5 after that. And I've got the predictions of many familiar faces and familiar social media people when it comes to Leicester fans with an awful lot of followers, etc., who you might well have followed, and also some people who work in the industry, people from BBC Radio Leicester, etc., and who follow the club. So make sure you check that out. And they've all given us their opinions, etc. But the one thing I mentioned on mine, Andy, was, and you've said it already, and I think this is very important to talk about with Leicester and any club, but especially with Leicester, and that's the fact that the team will look an awful lot different when we have finished the transfer window to whoever plays against Notts County. I slightly question the signing of Hal from Brighton on loan, purely because I thought it would be very wise for a club like Leicester, who would be able to attract the best players to this league by a long way, and having at least a couple up our sleeve on the final day of the transfer window, or at least the final few days. to try and poach players who are slightly unhappy in the Premier League or in Championship, who are maybe not getting game time or squad time, or a youngster who started well who goes, right, we're going to send them off on loan, just like we've done with, say, Jake Evans, etc., in a little link up with likes of Cheltenham. So I'm slightly surprised by that. What about yourself? Do you think the side will differ an awful lot after the transfer window? I think it will. And I think it will to the extent of probably at least 5 players. I think so. And I think it will be through players leaving. So like Mavididi, obviously the 2 centre halves. And I still think the goalkeeper might leave. So there's 4 for an example, maybe even Skip. So there's 5 first teamers who may need replacing. What do you think?
I think there'll be a couple more go. I'm not quite sure whether we'll get to the 5. All the sound bites coming out of Russell Martin says that he doesn't want to get rid of Harry Souttar, but it's seemingly looking that way that he will go. And obviously, I think Akoli was linked with Sassuolo, or can't even say it, Sassuolo in Italy, but that would obviously leave us very, very short. We've obviously still got Fass on the books as well, but I think somebody said yesterday I don't want to see him anywhere near the squad, even nearer to the side at all. So again, Mavididi looks tired, doesn't he? Just looks like he needs a move. He could probably go and reinvigorate himself somewhere else, probably somewhere higher than us at the minute, and get that bounce that he did when he first came to us. So I could see them two certainly going. The goalkeeping situation is puzzling me a little bit. I'm not quite sure where we're going with that. If I'm looking at it, I think Stolarczyk might start, but I don't think he'll end up being first choice. And I think that's because McCarthy's probably got a little bit of a knock. And I think he'll probably come in as probably for experience more than anything. I think Stolarczyk, he's certainly got potential, hasn't he? He wasn't quite there last season, but we were obviously in a team that are going down the Swanee at that time. So, yeah, it's quite difficult. I don't think Skip will go. I think he's here. He possibly might go in January if we're 20 points ahead or whatever it is, or even 20 points behind, kind of thing. So I don't think Skip will go. And from what I've heard, what I've been looking on Twitter these last couple of days about this Harry Howe, and there's very, very positive remarks about him. So I'm all for Russell Martin doing his business early and getting everybody in that he wants to get in now, and then let's see who leaves, and if not, let's get that squad rotating and move people around and get them playing, and let's get everybody involved, and let's change that attitude and culture around the squad. So I think it's positive, and I think a couple will go, but not many.
And before I ask you, Rob, about the overall balance of the squad, let's hear from more supporters of other clubs, their thoughts on themselves. And also, it's interesting to hear from supporters of other clubs, their thoughts on Leicester, because, again, we're kind of gate crashing this league, aren't we, for the second time ever? They're not used to a club like Leicester being there. Let's hear from Plymouth and also from Mansfield.
Hi, guys. It's Archie here from the Pilgrims podcast. Right. Plymouth Argyle, what to tell you about the Mighty Greens. We are the biggest city in the UK to have never had our team in the top flight, so that's our great claim to fame. We've had a ridiculous amount of promotions and relegations in the last 30 years or so. I think there's only 10 or so teams that have had more, so it's never dull. In more recent years, we've had Wayne Rooney come into town for a very brief spell, an incredible cup run, beating Liverpool on the way, and a brief return to the Championship. So it's been a good time to start a podcast. Look, what are our expectations for this season? We were really fortunate to have Tom Cleverley, our head coach, on our podcast last week, and he admitted promotion is the aim. That's what we're going for, and the players have echoed the same sentiment. Last season, we were bottom at Christmas, and then on the last day of the season, with seconds remaining, we were in the playoffs, but then just missed out due to goals elsewhere. So promotion, very much the aim. As is with Leicester City, right? I imagine, albeit the pressure will be far, far higher there. A huge name to have in the league, along with a big head coach, Russell Martin. How will he get on? How will his football translate into a league which is brutal, where Lincoln triumphed with a huge haul of points, playing a very aggressive, vertical, direct style of football? How does a Russell Martin team fare in such an arena, if you will? I look forward to speaking in more depth ahead of our game in early September. Take care and speak soon.
Well, great to hear from Plymouth. And again, we'll go into what we've got coming up on For Fox's Sake in terms of the podcast, how it's going to look throughout the course of the season shortly. But what we will have, of course, is the preview. We'll be hopefully talking to a lot of supporters from other clubs on the preview with Rob Hayes, discussing all things Leicester's next game. Before we bring in Rob once again and his thoughts on the Leicester side, I mentioned Mansfield. Here's Mansfield.
Hi guys, Craig from Mansfield Matters here ahead of the brand new season. Well, what can you expect from Mansfield Town? Well, I think you can expect a competitive side, one which will go a little bit under the radar, and I think one which some people will write off more times than most. Whilst it seems on the surface like we've just been signing a squad ready to be sponsored by Help the Aged, we've actually added some real quality to our depth, and Nigel Clough knows how to deal with older players. He knows how to balance the need between training and giving them rest and getting everybody ready for match day. We're really going to compete this season. I think we'll play some good football, but once we start to click and get those new players integrated with the old ones. In terms of expectations, I would expect us this season to be solid mid-table and to not even flirt, not even a glancing look at the relegation zone, and just stabilise ourselves in League One for another season. Maybe next season push towards a playoff finish or potential promotion chase. But for this season, it's all about keeping our heads down, going about our business and building some momentum, being hard to beat, really frustrating teams, and enjoying another successful season, solidifying ourselves in League One. What am I expecting from Leicester? Well, bouncing down from the Championship is never easy, especially when you've had 2 back-to-back relegations. A lot of players in your squad will be struggling to acclimatise to level, but you will have some real quality in there. And as soon as you guys can start firing, there's absolutely no doubt that you'll be up there towards the top end of the season. Looking forward to my visit later in the season, and looking forward to you guys coming as well. Let's hope it's a good season for both sides and a successful one too.
Yeah, fingers crossed it's successful, especially for us, obviously. But there we go. And I think we've got to realise that a lot of supporters will be thoroughly looking forward to coming to the King Power Stadium. You know, a huge stadium that's maybe they've been to a Leeds or maybe a Forest or Sheffield Wednesday, etc. in the past. But maybe they've not been to the King Power. We forget about that. Rob, back to Leicester and your thoughts on the Leicester City squad as a whole. Same question as I mentioned to Andy. How many players do you think might change between now and the end of the transfer window? And do you think there's going to be certain areas that might be decimated through players leaving, even if they are players who we probably want to leave anyway, and that we're going to have to fill with new signings?
I think we will probably only pick up 2 more. If I had to pick a number, it'd probably be 2. And that's not, I don't think that's 2 going and 2 coming in. I think that's 2 coming in and probably 3 to 4 going, whether that's permanent deals for want-away players or loan deals for younger players. And I think the beauty of it is that we've got some young players who are maybe on the periphery of the squad, who featured a bit during pre-season because the squad was quite bare at the beginning of it, who, if by the end of August other players have been signed in those positions, then will not get the game time at Leicester, could then drop out on loan to a League Two side or possibly even a lower end League One side, so that they don't so that their progress and their development doesn't stall. I think we've got enough in wide areas now to say goodbye to Mavididi without having to replace him. I think the only times where we would need to bring in direct replacements between now and August would be if we lose Oliver Skipp or a centre-back. And with all 3 centre-backs being talked about with exits, Richard Houston, I agree with you. That one's just dropped in. Same great minds, Richard, thinking the same thing at the same time. If Skipp goes, I don't really see who else can play in that pivot role, because Chowdhury you talk about as being a defensive midfielder, but he's a breaking up play defensive midfielder. This is not a defensive midfielder in this system. This is a deep lying playmaker. This is somebody that's got to be 100% secure on the ball, and Chowdhury is not that man. Chowdhury actually had more joy in pre-season, bombing up and down in the more advanced number 8 position, even though, you get him in the opposition penalty area. It's probably not as useful as your Chaplins, your Cullens, your Braybrooks, etc. So if Skipp goes, you have to get in the market for the pivot. The pivot is pivotal to Martin's system, and centre back. It was already a problem area because Wout Faes surely doesn't want to be at Leicester. Nobody wants Wout Faes at Leicester. Caleb Okoli's gone from knocking on the door of the Italian national side to not being wanted in a League One side by the fans, certainly in 2 years. So surely, if him and his agent can work a way out, they'll go. Suter, I think if he stays at Leicester, will be fantastic as a person and as a player, and he's been given the armband. But there's got to come a point where, especially with King Power looking to sell, where they might go, Sheffield United are prepared to give us that much money. We'll pay that, or we'll take that rather, and then we'll bring in a 21-year-old on loan from a Premier League or a Championship side, because then we've only got to pay his wages, which would probably be less than Suter's anyway, and we can pocket the cash from Suter. So I think the two signings that would have to happen would be centre mid and centre back. But if the squad doesn't change much in terms of outgoings, I can't see us bringing too many more in. We've got 9 new signings already. What do you want? A brand new squad? I mean, yeah, most of us did, but there we go.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree completely. I think it's a centre half position is going to be not an issue, but it's something that I'm sure that they know that Wout Faes doesn't want to be here. And I think the one person, it's not a supporter who thinks that Wout Faes shouldn't be here or doesn't want to be here. I think it's Wout Faes is the number one person who actually doesn't want to be here. He knows that. It's just that where's he going to go? And for how much money? Is he going to go for money? Is it going to be kind of a bit of an agreement, etc.? Because even with relegation clauses, etc., surely he's one of the highest earners, if not remaining at the club, the highest earner. We'll see. But he won't be a Leicester player at the end of the transfer window. I can't see Okoli being a Leicester player again, just purely on wages. And also, I think you could easily get a loan signing, as you said, or even a permanent signing that would be just as good as an Okoli. And I think Skip, for me, is the one who is the interesting sale. Mavididi can go. I'll drive him, don't worry. I think the goalkeeper will go. That's one of my predictions, that McCarthy will be the keeper. But I think the interesting one is Skip. Because if Skip stays, there's your steady Eddie throughout the course of the season in midfield, as you said, defensive midfield, very, very important role. You can't trust Hamza Chowdhury there, can you, Andy? I think you were saying the same as me, really, without saying anything. You can't trust him there. He's, as you said, Rob, playing a bit more advanced. He's in that Ndidi in the straight back up season role. But I just think Hamza, bring him on with 20 minutes to go when you're 3-0 up, but you can't really trust him anything else, really, can you? Unless he's got his head screwed on, unless he's going to grow up. We don't know. It's not happened yet. But if Skip stays, that's vitally important. But also, he's that one player where on the last day of the transfer window, you can just see someone coming in with it's an £8 million bid and it's all cash up front. Right, hang on. Is it going to be 10 million? Are the club going to say, right, we're just going to take that. We can't not take that money for Skip. Is he that important? Can we get someone else in that role? That would be the one for me away from the keeper. One more view from another side before we wrap things up here on Football is Back, the final countdown to the season. We'll tell you all about what we've got coming up on For Fox's Sake after. Let's hear the view of Leyton Orient. Interesting side. I think they might struggle this year after losing all of their goals up top. But let's hear an Orient point of view before we prepare for the first game of the season.
Hello from the Leyton Orient here representing Leyton Orient, of course. A small club with a big heart and increasingly big ambitions, personified by our head coach, Richie Wellens, who you guys will know very well because he played for you in the past. A man, I think, with ambitions of his own that extend far beyond just managing in League One. He had a difficult season last season, of course, but he survived it. He's still with us and he is definitely going again. So I think the expectations around the club, both from inside it and around the fan base, for us to finish probably mid-table. Our budget probably puts us in that area as well, I think, from what we know. We've made some very impressive, I think, signings over the summer. We have definitely changed our strategy in that respect. We've gone for more experienced players this time around. And we're less of an emphasis on loan signings. I think in terms of how Leicester are going to do, that's really difficult to say because so much of it is caught up in your ownership situation. how long it takes to complete the sale, who takes over, what happens in the meantime, the murkiness of the financial situation around that. Now, obviously, we've got a big fan base, and at this level, you would expect to be, you'd certainly be looking to bounce back quickly. Personally, given the situation with the ownership, I think that will be a struggle. So I don't expect it to go straight back up. Sorry, like you did last time that we met you at this level. Nonetheless, we're all looking forward to playing here because it's a great day out. It's a great city. It's a great football ground, and we don't get to go there very often. So up the O's.
There we go. Another who thinks that Leicester might well struggle. Final thoughts then on the eve, as we record this, of the Football League season, the League One season. I will just tell you all about the podcast, what we've got coming up this year. Now, obviously, there's loads and loads of podcasts out there when it comes to football in general. And also there's lots of podcasts when it comes to Leicester City, and we're all friends. You know, we know people with the other podcasts, etc., etc. They can come on ours, we can go on theirs, etc. But what we're going to do this season, we're going to lay it out nice and easy for everyone. You're going to have a podcast in your inbox, whether you're watching or listening. Again, Apple, you'll be able to watch very, very soon, as well as listen right now. On Spotify, you can watch the podcast as well as listen. Watch it now on Spotify. Make sure you subscribe also on YouTube to our YouTube channel. However you're watching or listening, you'll get a podcast in your inbox on a Monday morning, looking at the week ahead. Here on For Fox's Sake and regarding Leicester City. So a nice, small, sharp podcast, 10, 15 minutes, and all about what's coming up on the week ahead at Leicester. A little bit of roundup as well, maybe some pics of some social media messages, etc., and anything that comes into us here at For Fox's Sake, and also what's coming up on forfoxsake.news as well. So on your inbox or in your inbox on a Monday morning, you'll get the week ahead at Leicester. Of course, you'll get the main podcast as well that you're all used to here on For Fox's Sake with one of our three, or maybe all three of us, talking all things at Leicester City. And then you'll have the preview on hopefully around about a Thursday with Rob Hayes, talking all things the next game, previewing the next game. So hopefully doing 3 podcasts a week for you here on For Fox's Sake. And there's plenty, of course, on the website as well. And just one more time, let's take a look at this special offer. Yeah, it's a free month on forfoxsake.news using the code FREE 2026, free 2026. Make sure you sign up now because it's free. It's free for a month. Try out the website. If you like it, fantastic. Continue the subscription, £5 a month. Help us out with the website and to keep this podcast absolutely free. Independent coverage of Leicester City and Leicester City women on forfoxsake.news, FRW 2026. Sign up now. This will last only for the next couple of days, so make sure you do sign up. It's free, and then it's in your hands after that. Again, it's completely in your hands. You can sign up and continue for £5 a month, the price of a pint. Or if you want to sign up for a year, you get 2 months free. Of course, that's £50 for the entire year. And it's in your hands. You can stop and start however you like. And I know a few people have signed other people up as well. Maybe they've got parents who like to look at the historical part of the website, maybe the nostalgia or the top 100 players, etc., looking at the likes of Derek Dugan and whoever else they cheered on, Willie Carling back in the day. If they do, then of course you can sign them up as well. That's what I've done with my dad, because he couldn't do it himself, unfortunately, but he does enjoy the website, looking at those historical articles. And there's plenty more coming up on the website. So 3 podcasts a week and for fox8.news. Right, Andy, Rob, and myself. Final thoughts. Rob, I know you're excited for the football season. You just get that little tingle.
Yeah, a little bit, I think, especially because of what happened in League One the last time. It's not quite like getting relegated from the Premier League to the Championship, which we've done a million times. It's a bit of a, hopefully, a bit of a one-off, or rather two-off season this season. I'm looking forward to getting around to some different grounds, as I did when I was a teenager last time we were in League One. That's how long ago it was. Yeah, look at the greys and the wrinkles now. But yeah, really, really looking forward to tomorrow lunchtime, kicking off the League One season with what I predicted to be a 2-0 victory.
2-0 victory, says Mr. Hayes. Andy Moore, have you got that tingle on the eve of the season?
I've certainly got it this season compared to the last couple of seasons. It was all doom and gloom last couple of seasons. I just felt it from the start. But I'm with Rob. The last time we were in League One, it was brilliant. I went Hereford, I went Scunthorpe, Oldham, everywhere. So I'm looking forward to knocking a few different grounds off again this year. There's a few I haven't been to. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I just think we'll be fine. I think it might take us a few weeks, perhaps a month to settle. But once transfer window's gone, I think we'll be great. I think we'll get up. And I just think that there'll be a bit of a batten down the hatches kind of feel with the squad, and I think they'll just get on with it while everything that's going on off the pitch kind of thing just sorts itself out at some point. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait. Let's go and smash those boys up, the different kind of boys up the road. And like I say, I went for 4-1 yesterday, 3-1 yesterday. I think I went for.
Yeah, I had 3-1. Yeah, let's go and beat the team that's actually inside Nottingham City rather than those on the outside, because, of course, that's those the other side of the Trent. But, yeah, I'm going for a 3-1. I'm really excited. It's taken a bit of a while to build up after, of course, the World Cup. That was great up to a certain point. But now the real football is back. We've had the Carabao Cup. That can just go to one side. But the football season is back. My final thought is it's about the number 9. We've signed the new number 9. I just want him to hit the ground running. But if it doesn't work out, I want everyone just to take a step back. This is a guy coming from a completely different level of football. He might be too good for League One. Fingers crossed that he is. He might just fall flat on his backside. We don't know. If he does fire, great. He might just take that 6 months or so to really settle in and then all of a sudden hit the ground running and score 15 goals from Christmas until the end of the season. So if he does need a few months to settle in, I think we should give him that. Hopefully we'll have enough goals around him. I think we will to hopefully bring him up to speed. But that's really my final thought. Apart from that, I think we're going to get 100 points and steamroll the league. Right, that's it from For Fox's Sake. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for contributing to this countdown to the season series every single day this week, pretty much. And of course, we'll be back next week with, again, in your podcast listening place of choice, whether it's Apple or Spotify or it's on YouTube. You'll have that first thing on Monday morning. You'll have the main podcast in the week. And of course, the preview with Rob Hayes. Sign up now to forfox8.news, that code FRW2026. The last time we'll be saying that before the Notts County game. Up the city, and we'll see you next week.